Welcome to CTV News Year Canada. It is Monday, March the 9th. We'll bring you profiles of fascinating Canadians and stories about your community. Thanks for watching.
The 1940s with the Princess of Bulgaria.
Kaylee Patterson's videos earned thousands of views on social media. When she started posting about how her grandma was a childhood friend of the former Princess of Bulgaria, the princess's own grandkids saw it and calls were made.
Such a surreal moment because I'm talking to this mythological figure, the woman that my grandmother would tell me that I needed to be an example for growing up. And here I am talking to her, and now she's real.
Patterson's grandmother, Dikrana Iranian, grew up in Alexandria, Egypt, and remembers time spent with the young Princess Maria Luisa of Bulgaria, who with her family was living in exile in Egypt. Grandmother Dikrana remembers a 2-week sleepover when they were 12 years old.
My mom had to leave for Cairo, and I was living in Alexandria, and she didn't want me to miss school. So I guess the Queen offered to keep me for 12 days. So I spent 12 days in royalty.
Over the decades, the friends lost touch, except for a quick visit in Dorval.
I got a phone call from her, and she says, Dika, I'm going to be in Montreal for 1 hour at the airport. Can you make it? I said, sure, I'll make it.
Patterson's mom, Christine Sad, remembers that day too.
I knew we had blue blood. I mean, but the connection, to Bulgaria, no, I had no clue. But when she told me she was going to the airport to meet the princess, and I remember asking her that. I remember asking her, is she going to be wearing her crown? I was so intrigued.
Now the two old friends are catching up on the phone.
We spoke for 45 minutes 2 weeks ago.
There's a lot to talk about since that sleepover 80 years ago.
Seeing her have this joy and remembering her childhood and really living through that again and feeling like I'm the one who put this in action, it's really heartwarming.
Friendship reconnected through technology and the grandkids. Christine Long, CTV News.
From gridiron to the catwalk, the spotlight is on Gavin Weiss. The 18-year-old just returned from Milan Fashion Week, where he walked in the Gucci show.
I got a little nervous. They make it like a character. Like they're like, think about this character when you're walking, and that's kind of how they do it with it. And so they told me like Italian mob boss.
Weiss was even featured on the Gucci Instagram page, which has over 51 million followers. But he isn't letting the attention go to his head, though his family and friends are pretty impressed.
They're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Yeah, they're all like posting me and stuff. So they're supportive.
It's a great way to help pay for school, but his real passion is football.
Swing pass to Weiss. He'll dive across the 10-yard line.
I just want to study and play football. I don't really have a craving for fame.
It's good news for head coach Ryan Sheehan.
I'm happy for him. We want all of our young men to have opportunities outside of the classroom and the field to go on and pursue their passions. So this one's a pretty unique one, first for me for sure. But this is his kind of cool moment, and I'm happy for him.
Weiss was scouted at the Stampede by Mode Models when he was 15.
Gucci this season wanted that really athletic, hot-looking sort of bodybuilder, football-looking guy, and so we sent his stuff to the casting director. That's what Gavin did. When this red-haired sort of, beefcake comes out of the backdrop, it's gone viral on the internet because it's not normal.
For now, Weiss is trading the designer labels for textbooks, tackling midterms 1 yard at a time. Jacqueline Wilson, CTV News, Calgary.
Richard Akindaji is like most 10-year-olds. He loves sports and spending time with his friends, but unlike his classmates, Richard is a published author.
I actually finished the project at 9, but then I got it published at 10.
His short story, Navigating Through Life, Frill's story, is about growing up in Fredericton and facing challenges with his best friend.
They had smooth sailing until some issues happened emotionally with family. So when that happens, they have to get each other's trust back and friendship back, and they even get special missions.
He says the inspiration for the story came from his father, friend Felix, and former teacher, Madame Weiss.
She told me, if you ever write a book, I'd like to be your first customer. And when she said that, I just had a thought in my mind, like, wow, I want to see if I can do that.
The 27-page tale is not a one-off. Richard is working on part 2 and has plans for more stories.
I just spin a wheel. Whatever project that comes on, I just write about it, maybe 30 minutes, 20 minutes, and then when I'm done, just take a break. Maybe I sometimes add 11 other minutes, so because sometimes there's a flow in my brain, and when the time's up, you just want to keep going.
Richard's first book is available on Amazon in paperback, hardcover, and for e-readers, and he is working on getting his story into local outlets too, like Indigo. As for the takeaways the author hopes people remember from his book:
responsibility, friendship, how to be strong. The main thing is that when life throws struggles at you, you can't do anything about it. The only thing you can do is how you react to it.
Avery McRae, CTV News, St. John.
It was inside a doctor's office like this one that Owen Sound resident Dave Evans discovered why his vision was fading. Dave had initially put the loss down to another health condition and aging.
Best analogy I have is if you have a TV set and it diminishes by 1% a month, over the course of a couple of years, it's significant, but you don't notice any immediate changes.
But Dave's doctor wondered if something more was amiss.
And he did further testing, which brought to light the pituitary growth.
Dave was told he had a slow-growing tumor that would require delicate brain surgery. This LHSC neurosurgeon knew it would be a challenge. His team was tasked to remove the core of the tumor, the size of the average human thumbnail, from Dave's head. He likens the procedure to draining an eggshell.
But we don't want to violate the boundaries of the eggshell, because on both sides the carotid arteries are there, and then on the top are the nerves that transmit information from the eyes to the back of the brain.
And that is where this new portable MRI comes into play. It gives surgeons an immediate review of their work and lets them know if they missed any part of the tumor.
So we can evaluate in the operating room, have we gotten what we had intended to get? And is there any residual that we can get easily and safely before we close?
Dave was one of the first patients to benefit. The MRI caught a small amount of the tumor that the surgeons had not seen. They were able to go back in immediately to remove it.
Eliminating a potential repeat surgery, I think that's a game changer.
Dave tells CTV News he experienced gratitude for the health team and the portable MRI system mere moments after waking up in the recovery room.
And I realized how much better my eyesight was already, even just the day of the surgery.
Following 6 procedures in neurosurgery, the portable MRI has now been made available to the broader hospital team. The possibilities are said to be endless.
It could save morbidity. It could save complications. The unit can be actually brought to the intensive care unit right beside the patient's bed. I think there's a lot of potential applications where this would be very helpful.
In London, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
At St. Albert Cheese, just east of Ottawa, bags of fresh cheese curds are flying off the shelves.
It's these cheese curds I love.
For Dave Veldstra, it's a tasty tradition. His yearly trip to the region isn't complete without this one purchase.
We're down from London, and every time we're down here, we stop here to pick up the fresh cheese curds.
But the iconic squeaky cheese that has people lining up is now at the center of a debate over poutine's key ingredient.
It's a good news because everybody's talking about cheese curds and poutine, so that's good.
Quebec dairy producers want special acknowledgement. They are pushing for a protected geographical indication, recognizing Quebec curds as the traditional ingredient tied to poutine, similar to how only sparkling wine from France's Champagne region can be called champagne.
Cheese curd is part that when you do cheddar, when you cut the cheddar slab itself, it's making a curds. So curds was not invented by Quebec, so it should not be only known in Quebec.
But for Eric Lafontaine, Director General of St. Albert Cheese, the proposed idea doesn't cut it.
It's not fair that it's only going to be a control name in Quebec and not the rest of Canada when the rest of Canada has been doing that product for a long time.
Some say where the curds originate isn't their main concern.
If it comes in Ontario or anywhere in Canada, and if you like the product, I don't see anything wrong with that.
LaFontaine says his biggest worry is how the label could dampen long-term sales worldwide.
It's the longer term that we're more concerned, because they want to export that poutine name everywhere else in the world. And for us, we think that St. Albert should be part of it because we're the biggest one and the oldest one.
And the best, according to Veldstra. He'll continue to buy his cheese from St. Albert.
Just the freshness and squeakiness of them isn't like any other.
Josh Moreno, CTV News.
A bundle of black balloons represent loved ones lost to overdose.
The justice system needs to be aware of exactly how many people we're losing in Brantford here alone.
Grand Erie Public Health issued an alert in February after 10 suspected drug-related deaths over a one-month period. 5 of the deaths were in Brantford Brant. Krista Cabral was a familiar face at the Brantford courthouse on Friday. CTV News met her a couple of years ago after her daughter Brittany died of an overdose. Cabral is now demanding harsher sentences for drug dealers.
They're letting drug dealers out on bail to walk the streets to continue doing what they've been doing and harming more people.
Paolo Donola had to deal with the death of his son Aaron, who went down the dark path of addiction.
It was probably the worst thing I've ever had to do.
He wants addicts treated with more compassion from healthcare providers and police officers.
Nobody wanted to really help. I want to see them being treated like humans because everybody's got a story.
Someone's story we've shared before is Bernice Liverance. Her son Corey died of a fentanyl overdose. She's using this opportunity to educate.
We want the stigma gone. Fentanyl doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter what background you're from.
While the group of affected families weren't allowed inside the courthouse, they hope their message is heard. An emailed statement to CTV News from Brantford Police says in part, "We support efforts that increase public awareness about overdose risks and the availability of naloxone." Meanwhile, Ontario's Ministry of Health tells CTV News they have invested hundreds of millions of dollars into the new heart hubs for treatment and recovery, along with 500 new addiction recovery beds and over 1,200 supportive housing units being built across the province. As for the possibility of harsher penalties in the future for drug dealers, we didn't get a definitive answer from the federal government after being redirected through a couple branches. But a spokesperson for the Office of the Minister of Health did say our government is taking action to fight the toxic drug crisis, better protect our communities, and improve access to treatment and essential services. But until these families from Brant County and beyond see actual change, they won't stay quiet.
We are here and we're not going away.
Spencer Turcott, CTV News, Brantford.
500 dancers from ages 9 to 19 from across Canada, the U.S., and around the world are in Toronto this weekend for the Youth American Grand Prix.
These kids, even 9-year-olds, they have a passion, and they love performing. They love dancing.
The 4-day competition is an opportunity for young dancers to win scholarships to train at the top ballet companies in Canada and around the world.
To study somewhere, either for the summer or for a short-term grant, or even sometimes a full scholarship for a full-year program at a professional school.
For dancers, it's not only a chance to showcase their skills, but to meet other performers.
I'm going to experience this moment because I'm not a really amazing dancer yet, but that's what I want to get to that point, yeah.
I'm only 8, so I get to do a group, and I'm just really happy that I get to because it's an amazing opportunity.
And although it is a competition to win scholarships, for the students who don't place, it's an opportunity to step on a big stage.
Always keep trying. It's okay to be scared, but you can do this.
You're not dancing to be the best. Just dance to be the best you can be and only dance for yourself.
Over the past nearly 30 years, roughly $5 million in scholarships have been awarded to attend the world's leading dance schools. The Youth American Grand Prix is free to watch online as young dancers from around the world look to take the next step in their training. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
On the frozen shores of Clear Lake, Carly McRae, chair of Clear Lake Country, says their snow pavilion is a must-see.
It brings out the kid in me. I think that's where the idea came from. Every kid, in Manitoba grew up building snow forts in our backyard.
But this isn't your average backyard snow fort.
It doesn't get much better than like an epic, a giant snow fort that you can play in and use your imagination with.
This year, it was built over a 2-week period in late December.
Each year it gets bigger and better. This year it's a totally enclosed structure, ice walls that have been harvested from Clear Lake, and it's just a great location for people to kind of retreat from the outdoors into an enclosed winter structure.
George Hartland, CAO of the nonprofit Friends of Riding Mountain National Park, says it's the second year in a row for the build. An arch stood here in 2025. This year, the Clarso Snow Pavilion will be featured in the upcoming Fire and Frost Festival. Chris Panko, artistic director of Winnipeg-based Anvil Tree, says they started with a reusable steel frame. Snow was then packed on using snow blowers.
We're actually piling snow on top of the form and then moving the form underneath the snow to create a tunnel.
Panko says his team will head back up to the park to touch it up based on the whim of Mother Nature. He says snow is a challenging material. What started as an arch shape has now melted into a tent-like figure. Some of the snow has sunk.
The thing with working with ice and snow is that it's not a static material, so it moves.
McRae hopes the Snow Pavilion can become an annual tradition here inside Wasagaming. Until then, carvers will have a few more days to fine-tune the pavilion ahead of March 13th. Joseph Bernacki, CTV News, Riding Mountain National Park.
Don't add on an hour here and don't take an hour off there.
Bill Alwyn is one of the many Albertans ready to put the biannual time change to rest.
Just leave it, like Vancouver's going to do.
More than 90% of respondents in a 2020 government survey agreed to sticking to one time, daylight saving time year-round. However, in a referendum a year later, a slim majority opted against that.
I think the question was a little double-barreled, which is why it was confusing. I think if you just asked people, do you want to stop the time change, you'd probably end up with overwhelming support.
At an unrelated news conference, the Premier said they are going to restart consultations on the topic, given BC's move to stop changing the clocks. If she had to pick, Danielle Smith agrees with their direction.
I like more sunlight at night.
When we get more light in the afternoon and early evening, it's pushing our clocks to go later.
This York University biology professor is adamant staying on standard time is best. She says sunlight is key to getting our bodies going.
And that's because our clocks run a little bit slow. We tend to lag a little bit, and morning light pulls it back and speeds it up so that we're in sync with the day-night cycle.
One vehicle lighting expert says he has an even stronger argument for the other option.
There's pretty sturdy research showing that every year when we switch to wintertime, standard time, pedestrian deaths after dark jump up. And it's not just a temporary spike while people get used to it. It stays up until the moment we switch to summer daylight time, and it drops back down.
Daniel Stern says that's because more people are out and about in the afternoon and evening. Both Edmonton Police and RCMP data show there are more serious pedestrian crashes between 3 and 7 p.m. compared to 6 and 10 a.m. They say that could be due to a number of factors. Nicole Weisberg, CTV News, Edmonton.
It was the first, and now it's also the last. Opening in 1988, Weyburn's KFC buffet is known across the country as the last of its kind in Canada. And even with a closure scare about 10 years ago, it's still here. It was enough for pilot and YouTuber Glenn Powell to fly hundreds of kilometers to try it for himself.
Larry, the manager, talked to everybody who came through the door. Like, he personally spoke to everybody. And you could see that he really cared about what was happening in his store. That amazed me, and I was very happy for that. Like, that's something that really moved me.
Powell, who has a background in TV production, began creating food and travel videos on YouTube a decade ago. Being a licensed pilot has expanded his reach on what he can cover.
When the opportunity for this airplane came along, I thought, okay, so now I'm going to do the TV show that I always wanted to do, but I can do it on YouTube now. Bought an old plane and spent 9 months in a shop rebuilding it, getting it ready, and now I can just fly it around and do cool things with it.
Powell plans to return to Saskatchewan soon to document some of the province's more natural and less chicken fried related wonders, like the Athabasca sand dunes in the far north.
Fly low over the sand dunes and show people that Canada has a very diverse landscape. You would not expect full-on sand dunes in northern Saskatchewan.
But for now, he says his meal, courtesy of the Colonel, was well worth the trip.
The restaurant was packed with people, and the quality was high, and it was reasonably priced. It was well worth the trip.
David Presiak, CTV News, Regina.
A lot of people hear para-hockey and assume it's something they'll only ever see on TV. But for Dustin Rivard, it's been a part of his life since he was 5.
The game was completely different than it is today, and really nobody knew about it.
Today, more people have at least heard of para-hockey, but Rivard says hearing about it and seeing it live are two different things.
You mention that to somebody, and they go, oh yeah, I think I've seen that on TV or whatever. I'm like, have you actually seen it in person? Do you want to?
On the ice, he says it speaks for itself.
It's fast like hockey is, it's physical like hockey is, and it's, graceful like hockey is. It's almost the same game, but with a few differences.
But building a team isn't easy. Rivard is the head coach of the Windsor Ice Bullets, a local travel team. For them, the player pool is smaller, and sometimes recruiting means walking up to strangers.
It's tough. Sometimes me or some of my other teammates will approach disabled people in public and just say, hey, do you like hockey? Do you want to try?
Even for those who are interested, cost can be a barrier.
The equipment is not cheap, and then the travel on top.
Sleds can cost hundreds, even over $1,000. Sticks are sold individually, and just like stand-up hockey, you'll need all the gear and to pay registration fees. So the Windsor Ice Bullets try to lower that barrier by offering a free trial.
We'll give you a sled, we'll give you equipment. After 3 practices, then we'll talk about, okay, do you want to stick with it?
And here's the part a lot of people don't realize. You don't have to be living with a disability to get involved.
Ontario League actually is open to disabled and able-bodied players. I myself am able-bodied. I've played for 30 years.
Rivard says he's stayed because it's competitive, but also because of the community that comes with it. And if you want to see it up close or try it yourself, the Windsor Ice Bullets practice Wednesdays at 6 at the Libro Center in Amherstburg.
The sign in his window says hair studio, Tony Lee says he's often mistaken for being a hat seller.
And then they come in here and then they say, oh, I like that one, come on down. And I said, no, it's not for sale.
Because every one of the dozens of hats that decorate Tony's barbershop is priceless.
And yeah, many stories.
All different stories that all begin the same way, with a stranger feeling self-conscious about their hair.
And then they feeling like they need to hide behind their hat.
But if they no longer feel the need to hide behind their hat after the cut, Tony invites them to retire it on the wall.
I make them to have the signature on and have the name and the date.
The date they stopped being strangers, Tony says, and started becoming friends.
Even like they climb, but they're not climbing anymore.
While Tony says there's about 100 other hats in storage that get rotated on the walls, there's just one that always hangs here.
I always grateful in that the hat.
Because it belonged to the man who first taught Tony how to speak English when he moved here from Vietnam, and despite needing a wheelchair now, travels across a couple municipalities by transit, so Tony can still cut his hair.
And he's 80 now, but he's still coming to see me.
And because each hat contains countless happy memories, Tony has promised to never sell them.
Unless they are getting famous, they celebrity, and then now I'm allowed to be auctioned, I can get rich on that.
And if that happens, Tony will accelerate his retirement plans to pack up his barbering tools and go traveling.
See the world and then see the people, and then I want to give them the haircut for free, completely free.
Because you can't put a price, Tony says, on how it feels to make your hair great again.
To make them look good and feel good.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Vancouver.